Hey guys, part two. So I didn't want to bore you with cutting up the whole tenderloin. So I got most of it done. I was just working on the last few pieces here. I cut up mine by hand. You can use a chopper, whatever you guys use to chop up the tenderloin. This has been longer on the grill. I had said, I want to make sure I clarify, cooking these beans is normally about a 6-hour process. 3 hours, 3 hours beans and tenderloin. You chop up the tenderloin, put it in the beans, and then another 3 hours of smoking. And while the beans are smoking, you're gonna stir them. You're gonna stir them periodically. I also, while I'm doing this, want to clarify something, because I know some people are going to comment about the canned pinto beans that you saw me put in here. I know in competition, the way it's supposed to work is it's supposed to be uncooked, fresh pinto beans, depending on, I guess, what state you're in, how their rules work. But here in Texas, pinto beans is supposed to be uncooked. You got to cook them or boil them, and then put them in the pot, season them, do whatever you do to them. So if the canned pinto beans was an issue and you're in competition, do the beans the way you're supposed to do them for whatever state you're in, your competition.
This is just for home use.
This is just for home. Quite honestly, I'm not gonna lie, one of the competitions I won, and here comes the hate comments, was canned pinto beans. Hey, they didn't bust me. What can I tell you? But anyway, for a home recipe, we use canned on everything. If you guys are at home, use the recipe, cook the beans, do whatever you do. It's cool. It's fine. The backbone to this idea is some of the flavorings that go in, that come from the different beans that we use. And then, of course, the smoking. A lot of guys use their own seasonings. I just like to use, it just turns out when you use some of the different seasonings that come with the canned beans, and that's kind of the backbone to this recipe. And like I said, depending on you can, my God, there's so many different flavors in beans. And when I say flavors, not types of beans, ranch, pinto, kidney, so on and so forth, but just some of the different flavors they're offering now, that you can use those flavorings that are in the beans and put them in your beans. And then so we're gonna just chop this up. And the other thing is, if you're putting meat in it, the rule that I've been told, at least here in the state of Texas, is that you could put meat in the beans as long as it was the same size as the beans. So again, depending on what state you're in, depending on what competition. So I don't really, for at home, I really don't have to cut this up anymore, but I'm just showing you this because if you're gonna put this meat in competition beans, you want to chop the fire out of this, because really the reason you're putting this in is to get the smoke flavor that's in it into the beans, in addition to the smoke flavor that's in it while you're cooking them. So I would really recommend chopping up the meat really small if you're gonna put meat in your beans in competition. Otherwise, if it's for here at home, here's what we do. Oh, you know what? Come on around here, because I just wanted to see that. So you can see on top of the beans, I was already getting kind of a crust on there, and we'll just use it. Yeah. There we go. So, and again, now you can see when I mix it, that crust that was getting on top. Okay. Now we're gonna put all this smoked meat in there.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Low battery.
It's okay. All right. Is it still running?
Yes.
Okay. And we're gonna mix in that meat right into our beans. Look at that. And then once this cooks up longer, we'll put this back on the smoker for another 3 hours. And we will be, okay, so let's take this. All right, so put the beans back on there. It's all mixed up. We got our spoon to stir it with, and we'll just let it smoke now on slow smoke. So I'll turn this down so that we get a real slow smoke on there. Another 3 hours at 205, and we will have competition, award-winning smoked beans that I promise you, if you try this recipe, even if it's for just at home, I promise you, you will not cook beans the same way ever again. Hope you enjoy it. Leave comments, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.